Just look how cute these snowman quilt blocks are. We made a tree quilt first, and then we made presents, and today we're making snowmen. Just like those other quilts, we need a layer cake to make it, and I'm using this Merry Merry Snow Days from Moda to make this quilt today. So let's open her up, and I'll show you how to do it. So the first thing you want to do is sort your layer cake into two piles. You're going to choose 20 of the lighter prints in the layer cake to become the snowmen and the top and bottom borders on the quilt. And then you'll choose 20 of the darker prints to become the backgrounds and the scarves in each block. You're going to have 2 squares left over, and you can save those for another project in your scrap bin. I do have a handy $5 PDF linked below to help you follow along, so you don't need to take notes. And I appreciate every sale so much. So now I'll show you how to cut. All right, let's cut our lighter prints first. I have 2 of them stacked together. If you have directional prints, you're going to want to cut this one first. So turn them sideways, and you want to cut 3 inches off the top first. 3 inches. Now, I'm going to set these aside for now. These are going to become the top and bottom borders. You're going to need to choose 10 of them to become 9.5 inches long and 10 of them to be 9 inches long. I'm going to cut those after I've laid my quilt out and I know if I want them to go on the top or bottom or the side, left and right sides before I cut them. 3 inches wide off the top first, and then I'm going to cut 2.5 inches. And I'm going to turn, ooh, they're starting to go. Let's turn them back sideways, or right side up rather. I'm going to keep it stacked up. Good. Now you want to cut 3.5. And again, 3.5. One more cut right here at 1.5. So these are 2.5 by 3.5. These are 4.5 by 3.5. These are 1.5 by 4.5 and 1.5 by 2.5. Now let's cut the darker prints. 2 more lined up. And again, if you have directional prints, you want to turn it sideways. You want to cut it in half at 5 inches first. And then I'm going to cut 5.5. 5.5. And I need 2 2-inch by 5.5 off of this one. 1, 2. Then we're going to cut 3.5. And you need 2 1.5 by 3.5 off of this one. 1.5. There's 1 and 2. Now you bring in the bottom 5-inch wide piece, and we're basically going to cut a bunch of 1.5. So we need 4 first. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then you want to get 4 1.5-inch squares and 4 1.5 by 3.5 out of these little rectangles, right? Cut 1.5 off the top, 1.5-inch square. This is 1.5 by 3.5. So all 4 of these. So there's 2, 3. All right, we're almost there. We need to cut 1 more 1.5 here, and then cut him in half, 2.5 inches. 2 1.5 by 2.5. And then our last little bit, we need 4 1.25-inch squares. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and that makes 4. 4 1.25. That was a lot. Total numbers out of your dark prints. You need 2 2-inch by 5.5-inch rectangles, 2 1.5 by 3.5, 4 1.5-inch squares, 4 1.5 by 3.5, 2 1.5 by 2.5, 4 1.25. All right, let me show you how to swap them out in piece of block. So let's swap our prints out now. All the 2-inch by 5.5-inch rectangles, those are going to be used in the quilt assembly later. So let's set those aside for now. And then pop these around. These are the heads of the snowman. And then these are your body pieces. And the other side. And then these would be underneath the scarf. Your little snowmen set up first. Then you'll fill in backgrounds. These 3.5-inch rectangles are going to go on either side of the head. And then these ones going this way are going to become our scarf. And again, with these 2.5-inch ones, the rest of the scarf there. All right, your 1.25-inch squares, the smaller squares, are going to go on the top of the head. And then the 1.5-inch squares, they're going to become the shoulders of the snowman. All right, let's sew them up. Piece our little snowman. You're going to add your scarf to the bottom of the head first, 1/4-inch seam, right? Press toward the scarf, and then you're going to take those smaller 1.25-inch squares, put them on the corners of the head, and we're going to sew from corner to corner. These are so small, I really just eyeball it. I don't draw the line. Right? Cut that away and push him back. Do the same thing over here. Okay? Then you'll add the background rectangles to each side of the head. Right? Press and add the next one. Head is complete. Now we'll make the little body. So we're going to do the scarf section first. Sew that together, 1/4-inch seam. Press up towards your scarf, and then add him into the body. You would sew this one on first, and then the bigger one onto there. And now you just add your 1.5-inch squares on these two corners to create the snowman's little shoulders. So from corner to corner, cut that away and press that back. Do that here. Final step, add your head to the body. Cut. And then you're going to press up towards the head, and look at that adorable snowman. You're going to make 40 snowmen, and then it's quilt layout time. So you've made all your snowmen, and we want to lay them out into 5 rows with 8 blocks in each row. Then you want to find the matching 2-inch by 5.5-inch background rectangle that matches with each block, and add them to the top or bottom of each one, alternating as you go along each row. And the final step is the border. We want to bring back those 3-inch lighter print rectangles we cut at the beginning to make our borders. Choose 5 rectangles for each side, and then cut the left and right side rectangles down to 9 inches long. Add the side borders first. Cut the top and bottom rectangles to 9.5 inches long, and then add them to your top. My Snowman Layers quilt is finished, and this might be my favorite just one layer cake quilt yet. This pattern is a little more involved than most of my previous tutorials, but I'm hoping the cuteness makes up for the little extra effort in cutting and piecing. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Keep the pattern simple or keep the cuteness coming. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!